Welcome to this very special session. Today you're joining us for, well, a masterclass really, designed specifically for you, the director, focusing on the powerful Ivana Chubbuck technique. We're going straight to the heart of what makes performance explode with truth. Now, we've explored many complex topics here, but few feel as crucial, maybe as elusive, and as utterly transformative as the concept we're unpacking today. Let it go. It sounds simple, maybe, but it's not just a phrase. It really is the gateway to unlocking an actor's most profound, unfettered truth. And it's definitely something every director, well, you crave to see it on your set, don't you?
Indeed. And it's often misunderstood. Many believe let it go is some kind of passive state, a moment of relaxation, perhaps just winding down. But I assure you, director, it is precisely the opposite. It is the razor's edge. It's where rigorous preparation culminates in an intentional act of faith, a fierce release that allows raw, undeniable truth to just erupt onto the screen. It's really where you, the director, perform your ultimate handoff, trusting the work. So when we discuss the technique, let it go is often identified as step 12. But to truly understand its power, you have to grasp that it's not merely another step in some sequence. It is the magnificent culmination. It's the grand finale, really, of all the meticulous work we do. Think of it less like a gentle winding down and more like a raw, ferocious explosion where every single element we've painstakingly built within the actor finally ignites.
Okay, so culmination, not just a step. That's a key distinction right there.
Exactly. This is the point where the actor, after digging deep through their substitution, and that's, the powerful act of connecting the characters' given circumstances to something deeply personal, truly relevant from their own life, making the stakes absolutely vital, real.
Making it matter to them.
Yes, and then charging the scene with inner objects. These are those specific people, ideas, maybe even physical objects that the character is actively engaging with internally. Saturating the scene with emotional significance, then crucially, locking on to a primal objective. That's the character's overriding, urgent, often desperate goal in that specific scene, what they absolutely must win.
The driving force.
The driving force, fueled by a potent inner monologue, that unspoken stream of thought driving their moment-to-moment decisions, their motivations, and finally, grounding it all in specific physical doings, the actual actions taken to achieve that objective. So after all of that, after completing this meticulous journey, internalizing every one of these preceding steps, preparing their emotional and intellectual landscape, then the actor is ready to, metaphorically, throw away the map and drive straight into the storm.
Okay, and what about the director in that moment? Where do we fit in when the actor throws away the map?
For you, the director, this is your release point too. You've been instrumental, right? Helping the actor build this powerful engine, forging this incredible, finely tuned machine. Now you have to lift your foot from the gas. You must trust, implicitly, trust that they know how to drive.
That takes courage from the director's side as well.
Immense courage. You're no longer manipulating a puppet. You are bearing witness. And this profound trust, it's earned. It's earned precisely because the groundwork is solid. Your meticulous preparation, your deep understanding of their process allows their instinct to take over. It makes behavior supersede design. It allows impulse, which has been forged through rigorous craft, to break free.
So our job shifts in that moment.
Dramatically. Your most vital task in this moment, director. Protect that freedom. It's an intentional act of faith on your part, recognizing when to pull back, sensing when the actor is truly in pursuit, and then allowing them to run unchecked. Without interference, you become the guardian of that space. So to truly grasp let it go, understand it not as an absence of control, but as the transcendence of conscious control. This happens once the groundwork, all that preparation we just talked about, is deeply embedded.
Transcendence, not absence. I like that.
Yes. It is the precise moment when all the intellectual and emotional scaffolding, all the planning, all the rehearsed outcomes, all the preconceived notions of how a moment should look or feel, it just falls away.
What's left?
What remains, what is revealed, is raw, undeniable presence. And it's not some mystical magic, right? It is the observable, visceral result of mastery in motion. It's the culmination where technique becomes so ingrained, so much a part of the actor's being, that it just manifests spontaneously.
So the technique doesn't disappear. It just goes deeper. becomes instinct.
Exactly. An actor who truly lets go is no longer thinking about the technique or the steps they've taken. They are simply doing. They are no longer crafting a performance for you or for the camera. They are inhabiting a living truth. Think of a master musician, maybe. Someone who has practiced a piece for thousands of hours. In performance, they don't think about each note. They become the music.
Right. The technique is just there in their fingers.
Precisely. The technique lives in their muscle memory. Similarly, for the actor, instinct takes over completely when the scaffolding of preparation is strong, when the actor's objectives, the obstacles in their path, their personal substitutions, their potent inner objects, their driving inner monologue, and their chosen beats, tactics, and doings. When all of those are no longer external tools they consciously apply, but deeply internalized impulses.
Then they can let go of the thinking part.
Yes, the actor stops performing and starts living. They allow their authentic self to merge completely with the character's journey. This is the ultimate payoff for all the meticulous work. It allows all that detailed, painstaking preparation to ignite and manifest spontaneously, unpredictably, powerfully. And it ensures that every behavior is born from necessity, from a primal need, not mere rehearsal or some predetermined plan.
So just to be crystal clear then, let it go isn't about becoming passive or, letting go of the work itself. It sounds like it's about letting go of the conscious control over the work, allowing it to move from the intellect to instinct because that foundation is so robust. That's a really powerful distinction, isn't it?
Precisely. It's a leap of faith, absolutely, but it's a leap from a solid foundation, never into a void. You've built the platform for them to jump from.
Okay, so we understand the release, we understand the foundational work that makes it possible, that's clear. But here's where it gets really interesting for us directors, I think. What does this actually look like in practice? On the day, on set, how do we see let it go unfolding? How do we recognize that lightning strike moment you mentioned, that undeniable truth?
You feel it first, often. When an actor truly lets go, the scene ignites with this unpredictable electricity. You will feel it, director, the very density of the air in the room. You are no longer watching an actor perform. You are witnessing a human being fighting for something primal, something vital, something absolutely necessary for them in that moment. The behavior that emerges is born from necessity, not from rehearsal, not from planning. The choices they make, even though they might be unplanned, perhaps even surprising to them and to you, they make undeniable sense within the raw truth of that moment. They pulse with raw life.
So it's less about polished perfection and more about vitality.
Exactly. It's a profound transformation from merely executing a performance to embodying pure, undeniable presence. You will observe a spontaneous aliveness, almost a dangerous unpredictability. The scene suddenly feels utterly alive, like anything could happen.
Dangerous in a good way.
In the best way, because it's truthful. Emotion in these moments doesn't appear because the actor is trying to feel it. That's a critical distinction for you to make. Instead, emotion erupts because they are relentlessly trying to win, to achieve their objective, stemming directly from their deep need, their relentless pursuit, their unrelenting drive.
So emotion is a byproduct, not the goal.
Precisely. Emotion is not a destination. It is a byproduct of the fight.
Okay, can you give us some concrete examples? What might we actually see or hear?
Certainly. Let's think about specifics. Tears, for instance. When they arrive in a moment of let it go, they're rarely just about sadness and isolation. They are about failure, about the high-stakes risk of losing something essential they are desperately fighting for. They come from the pursuit, from hitting those obstacles, from the raw cost of not achieving the objective. You might see frustration, anger, despair, all culminating in tears as a response to being thwarted, not as the starting point.
Okay, so tears is a result of struggle, not just generated sadness.
Exactly, or laughter. In these moments, laughter often stings with an unexpected, maybe even unsettling truth. It reveals a deeper complexity than a simple comedic beat. It might be a nervous laugh under extreme duress, a cruel laugh of triumph, or even a laugh of pure, desperate hysteria. It's rarely just funny in a light way. It carries weight.
It sounds like it reveals more layers.
It does. And silence. Silence in those moments can roar louder than any dialogue. It becomes filled with unspoken struggle, profound cost, unyielding intention. A pause is an empty space. It becomes a battleground, a beat where the character is fighting internally to hold back, maybe to strategize, or perhaps to absorb a crushing blow.
So even the spaces between words become electric.
Absolutely. This kind of performance is volatile, yes, but remember, it is not chaotic. It is fundamentally out of planning rather than out of control. That distinction is critical.
Out of planning, not out of control. Got it.
And that is precisely where the truth lives. You are capturing an actor living a truth even they couldn't fully predict until it happened in that very moment. It's about authentic behavior that surprises everyone, including the performer.
Like what specifically? What are those surprising things?
You might see a subtle shift in rhythm that wasn't rehearsed, but it feels perfectly organic. It makes perfect sense within the raw truth of that moment. Or a moment of silence, as we said, that's more potent than any spoken line, conveying volumes of inner conflict or unspoken desperation. Or maybe a reaction that genuinely surprises even the actor themselves. That's a huge signal they are truly in the moment, living from instinct rather than conscious thought.
Those sound like the takes you remember.
Exactly. These takes, they might look messy on paper because they deviate from a preset structure. Maybe the blocking changes slightly, maybe a line is fumbled and recovered, but they pulse with raw life, unrehearsed power. They become truly unforgettable. This, director, is your gold. This is what the audience will remember long after the plot fades.
Right. The moments that feel real.
At this stage, the actor's subconscious activates. The technique lives in their muscle memory now. Substitution bleeds into the text organically. Inner objects flood the space with meaning, and the objective takes over completely. It drives everything. It transcends acting. It becomes instinctive survival. When it happens, you won't question it. You will feel it. The truth will land in the room like a thunderclap. And your job in that moment is to capture it, not smother it. Be vigilant without being intrusive. Allow that truth to unfold fully.
That distinction between volatile and chaotic and out of planning versus out of control, that's really helpful. It frames the spontaneity differently. But I ask, for a director maybe on a tight schedule, how do you manage the inherent risks of that kind of unpredictability?
That's a valid concern, and it comes back to trust. Your trust, built on their rigorous preparation, you learn as a director to discern between truly alive unpredictability, which is gold, and simple chaos stemming from a lack of preparation. They feel very different. When the groundwork is solid, those unpredictable moments are almost always deeply truthful. They're rooted in the character's objective, even if they're not precisely what you envisioned.
So they're not random.
Not at all. They're gifts, really. You capture those takes. You absolutely capture them. And then, if needed, you can always guide them gently for continuity in a later take. But you never sacrifice the truth for sterile consistency. You protect the spontaneity first, and then you shape it, maybe in the edit, maybe with a gentle adjustment, but you get that lightning in the bottle first.
Okay, that sounds incredibly powerful. That electric moment, it's what we all hope for, isn't it? But what happens when, despite all the groundwork, despite the meticulous preparation, an actor they can't seem to get there? What are the signs that tell us they're gripping? Holding on too tightly to control. How do we identify that tension?
It's a common challenge. Directors, when an actor is unable to let go, you'll observe a distinct tension, a kind of rigidity. It manifests as a rigid adherence to preconceived notions rather than a living, breathing experience.
So they're playing the plan, not the moment.
Exactly. They are in their head, as they say. Clinging to choices they made in rehearsal instead of allowing discovery to unfold now in this take. They're trying to do it right, trying to replicate a desired outcome, maybe something that worked before, or even trying to please you, the director.
The desire to please, that could be a trap.
A major trap. Because their focus shifts from fiercely pursuing what the character genuinely needs to delivering what they think is wanted. This is why the actor slips. They slip from instinct into intellect, from vibrant truth into a mere demonstration of technique. The performance becomes controlled, perhaps technically proficient on the surface, but it lacks that visceral impact, that raw edge that comes from true abandon.
And it's important to remember, this isn't necessarily a flaw in the actor.
Absolutely crucial. Understand this. It doesn't mean they are lacking as actors. It means they are simply human. Fear is often the silent culprit here. Fear of failure, fear of appearing foolish on camera, or fear of not delivering the performance they believe is expected of them.
Performance anxiety, essentially.
Yes, but rooted specifically in the work. This grouping isn't a flaw in their talent. It's a deeply human response to the pressure of performance, to the weight of expectation, both internal and external. But this gripping, understandable as it is, inevitably strangles the life out of the performance. It turns what should be an urgent pursuit into a manufactured product.
Product versus pursuit. That's a clear distinction.
It chokes the very life force out of the scene. It reduces a potentially living moment to a pre-planned execution. And the psychological impact for the actor, they become an observer of their own performance rather than fully inhabiting it. Self-conscious.
And self-consciousness is the enemy.
The enemy of truth. On set, you will witness clear indicators. They're not always overt, maybe subtle at first, but if you are attuned, they become undeniable.
What should we be looking for specifically?
Okay, watch for these. Repetition over revelation. The actor might precisely repeat emotional beats, inflections, even physical gestures from a previous take or rehearsal. It creates a static, predictable pattern that lacks spontaneity. It feels like a copy, not an original, like they're trying to recreate a past moment rather than live a new one.
The energy feels flat then.
Exactly, because it's remembered, not discovered in the now. Also, watch for overthinking and self-commentary. They may visibly overthink their actions. You might see a slight pause where they seem to be intellectualizing their next move, or they might even subtly comment on their own performance, maybe a fleeting expression of dissatisfaction or judgment.
Like they're critiquing themselves mid-scene.
Yes, a sure sign they are outside the moment, observing themselves rather than fully living the character's reality. That detachment kills immersion for everyone. You might see their eyes go distant for a beat or a hesitation that feels intellectual, not emotional. And finally, look for disconnected emotion and behavior. This is a big one. You might see emotion that feels, well, unearned, or behavior that lacks a clear, driving objective behind it.
How does that look?
The feeling might be present, maybe even intensely, but it doesn't seem to fuel action. Or the action lacks a clear, compelling purpose connected to the character's immediate need. It's emotion for emotion's sake, not emotion as a tool for winning.
Can you get an example?
Sure, an actor might appear very sad, maybe crying convincingly, but their actions don't show them fighting to escape the sadness or using that sadness strategically to manipulate another character, for instance. The emotion feels decorative rather than functional, like wallpaper.
Okay. So it's present but not active.
Exactly. This is not the unpredictable, dangerous aliveness we strive for. This is a controlled performance. And while it might be technically proficient, it lacks the visceral impact, the raw truth that comes from true abandon. It tells you about the actor's intention to perform, but not about the character's urgent, undeniable truth in that living moment.
Right. So when we spot those signs, that tension, the repetition, the disconnect, that almost intellectualized approach, what's our immediate responsibility as directors? How do we effectively intervene? How do we guide them back towards that state of let it go? You mentioned being a lifeguard, not a lifeline. How do we do that?
Your role is absolutely critical in that moment. And yes, the lifeguard analogy is key. You're not there to pull them out of the water onto the safety of the shore, offering comfort or worse, more intellectual notes about why they're stuck.
So no lengthy analysis.
Analysis often makes it worse. Instead, you are the lifeguard guiding them back into the flow of the current, back into the vibrant, dangerous energy of the scene. Your task is not to offer more intellectual input, but to redirect them with what I call fierce emotional clarity. You remind them relentlessly why they are in the scene to win. To achieve their objective, whatever the cost, whatever the obstacle, you must know their precise target, that burning desire, so you can redirect them back to the relentless pursuit of it. Strip away any extraneous performance ideas.
Get them back on track to the goal.
Exactly. They are not there to display emotion. They are there to use it. Use it as a weapon, maybe a tactic, perhaps a strategy to get what they desperately need.
So emotion is a means, not an end.
Always. It is fuel for the fight, not the fight itself. So you reground them firmly in their substitution. Remind them of that deeply personal connection they've worked so hard to build. You reignite their inner objects. Bring those internal emotional targets back to vivid life in their minds. And you vividly remind them who they are truly speaking to in this scene through their substitution and what is genuinely at stake in this moment for them personally because of that substitution.
Bring them back to the primal hunger.
Yes, back to the primal hunger that drives their character, not the external appearance of acting.
Could you give a quick example of that redirection? Say an actor is trying too hard to look sad. What might you say?
Okay, perfect example. If you see an actor just trying to look sad, maybe pushing for tears, you might step in quietly and say something direct like, "Forget sadness. What is the one thing you desperately need from this person right now to avoid this devastating loss? What action can you take? How can you use your desperation to manipulate them, to make them stay, to force them to give you what you need?"
So you shift the focus immediately from feeling to doing, from internal state to external action.
Precisely. From display to pursuit. You must protect their freedom to risk. Intervene only when actors slip into result-driven work, when they are trying to look good, feel right, or recreate an emotion. And then immediately reconnect them to their core groundwork, to that undeniable objective. Your intervention is about restoring urgency and intention, not adding layers of thought or analysis. It's about empowering them to fight with everything they have.
Because that fight is where the truth lives.
That's exactly where it lives.
That makes perfect sense, redirecting their focus from the internal feeling to the external active pursuit. It's about reminding them of the purpose behind the emotion. Could you give us another specific quick example, maybe how you might reground an actor in their substitution if you see them gripping and getting too intellectual?
Absolutely. If an actor is clearly in their head, intellectualizing, maybe their delivery feels a bit stiff, you might pull them aside very quietly, creating a private moment. And you could say something like, "Remember the image you built for your substitution, the person, the moment, the raw feeling you identified that makes this character struggle so deeply personal to you." Then you'd add, "Go back to that right now. Feel that urgency rise up in you. Let that fuel your next move, not your head. Let them drive you."
So you're not asking them to explain it or analyze it?
No, never. You're asking them to reconnect to it viscerally, to bring that personal stake back into the room with full force. It's about reigniting the internal fire, not discussing the logs.
So beyond that immediate redirect, beyond bringing them back to the core objective and their personal stakes, what other practical tools can we employ, both in rehearsal, maybe, and right there on set, to help an actor shake off that grip and fully release into the scene? What are the tangible actions we can take when they're really stuck?
Sometimes the mental grip is just so tight, isn't it? So rigid. You need to physically disrupt things to loosen it, break the pattern. There are some powerful, almost counterintuitive tools designed specifically to break their rigidity and force them back into instinctive living. First, think about changing the energy. This can be simple but profound. Clear the set of unnecessary distractions. And this isn't just about, tidiness. It's about minimizing external pressure and self-consciousness.
Reducing the feeling of being watched.
Exactly. Sometimes an actor grips because they're hyper-aware of the crew, the lights, the unblinking eye of the camera lens, maybe even the budget clock ticking away. So try turning off the cameras for a run-through. Ask all non-essential crew to step away for a few minutes. Allow them to run the scene privately, as if it were a closed rehearsal again.
Taking the pressure off.
It dramatically reduces that performance anxiety. It sends a clear signal to the actor. This is a safe space for discovery, not just capture right now. We're removing the performance microscope temporarily.
What's the psychological impact of that for the actor, do you think?
It helps silence the internal judge, that self-observation that chokes spontaneity. It gives them permission to be messy again. Another tool, breaking the pattern. Sometimes you need to drastically switch something up. And remember, this isn't about forcing a specific outcome you want. It's about dislodging their attachment to a preconceived plan.
How might we do that?
You could play music that resonates deeply with the character's core emotional state. Maybe something you discovered in rehearsal, tapping into their subconscious without intellectualizing. Or change the physical blocking entirely. Force new interactions, new impulses they haven't rehearsed into muscle memory. Make them navigate the space differently. Or even intentionally interrupt the established rhythm of the scene. Jolt them out of their intellectualized repetition.
Yeah, like have another actor enter unexpectedly.
Precisely. Or maybe a prop breaks unexpectedly and they have to deal with it. The goal isn't to force a specific reaction, but simply to break their rigidity. Crack open the control they're holding on to. Force them to respond authentically in the moment because they have no choice.
Okay, that makes sense. What else?
Silent takes. These can be incredibly powerful. Encourage a run where no words are spoken. None at all. Only the physical pursuit of the objective. Just pure doing. Active behavior rooted in intention. It forces them out of their heads and back into their bodies. It strips away the comfort and sometimes the protection of dialogue. It exposes the raw need, the unspoken struggle. Without words, they have to show what they want. Show the obstacle, show their tactic through physical life. It's incredibly revealing and often breaks that intellectual grip completely.
I can see how that would bypass the thinking part.
It does. Then there's space activation and energy resets. Sometimes you just need to physically reorient the actor, have them run to a different part of the set and start the scene from there. Or even just have them stand still for a moment, take a deep, grounding breath, shake out the tension, and then re-enter the scene with a renewed sense of urgency. As if starting fresh with a burning need.
A literal reset button.
Sometimes a physical reset can bypass a mental block entirely. It's about shaking off the stagnation, literally re-energizing their commitment to the objective. A quick physical exercise, a moment of intense focus on their breath, then an immediate plunge back into the scene can work wonders. And finally, always be redirecting back to doing rather than showing. This is constant. Consistently bring them back to their character's actions and intentions. Your language here is absolutely key, as we discussed. Always be asking, what are you doing to get what you want right now, rather than what are you feeling?
Action over emotion.
It shifts their focus from internal sensation, which can lead to self-consciousness, to external, purposeful action. It transforms emotion from a display into a weapon or a tool. It prevents them from falling into that trap of acting in emotion, and instead focuses them on utilizing emotion to pursue their objective relentlessly. Your ultimate aim with all these tools is to reawaken urgency. Reignite the objective. Remind them what they are fighting for deep down. You have to break the actor's pattern of perfectionism, shake loose the fear that is choking their performance.
Do whatever it takes.
Do whatever it takes creatively to get them back into the fight, back into the authentic pursuit. Because it is in that messy, vulnerable, alive pursuit that the truth will return. It's in that chaos, that raw, unpolished moment of trying desperately to win, that the truth is truly born.
These tools sound incredibly powerful for breaking an actor out of a mental loop. Could you briefly give a real-world example of how a silent take might reveal something profound that maybe wasn't there in the dialogue takes?
Imagine a scene, maybe a painful breakup scene, where one character is desperately trying to convince the other not to leave. In the dialogue takes, it might sound like a logical argument, perhaps with some pleading. It might feel okay. But then you strip away the words. You ask for a silent take focused purely on the objective. Don't let them leave. What might emerge? Suddenly, you might see the actor physically block the doorway, their hands trembling, using their body as a barrier. You see the desperate attempt to make eye contact, hold their gaze, the silent pleading in their eyes. Maybe subtle physical manipulations, a touch on the arm that's held too long. You might see the internal battle to hold back tears, even as their entire body posture screams of impending loss and desperation.
Wow, so the subtext becomes visible.
Exactly. The subtext, the sheer force of their need becomes undeniable. It's communicated purely through action, presence, physical life, not relying on the words. It reveals the primal fight beneath the dialogue, and often that informs and deepens the subsequent dialogue takes immensely. You see the why behind the words.
This is all incredibly useful. And it leads us, I think, to a crucial piece of self-assessment for every director listening. It sounds like before you can ever hope to witness that raw magic of let it go, that electric, unpredictable truth, you have to actively clear the space for it, make it possible. This isn't just a formality, is it? It feels more like the blueprint for enabling emotional freedom on your set, a way to hold ourselves accountable for the environment we're creating.
Think of this director's checklist as your personal barometer. It helps reveal whether your leadership stems from control or from trust, from your own ego perhaps, or from selfless service to the actor's process and the story's truth. Use these questions unflinchingly. Hold yourself accountable for the environment you cultivate, because when you lead with courage and clarity, your actors will follow you anywhere with everything they've got.
Okay, let's go through them. What's the first check?
First, have you prepped the scene with tactical clarity? And I mean tactical clarity. Are you absolutely clear yourself on what the actor is fighting for in each moment, each beat of that scene? Did you break the scene down with surgical precision? Not just for plot points or blocking, but for its deep emotional stakes, those specific shifts in intention or power within the scene, and the intricate relationship arcs playing out.
So we need to know the objective as clearly as they do.
More so sometimes. If you don't possess this clarity, if your understanding of the precise objective is fuzzy, how can you possibly expect your actor to find it or hold on to it under pressure? Your clear understanding of the objective becomes your most potent tool to reground them, to strip away any extraneous performance clutter. You must be the anchor of intention. Have you helped the actor define their substitution and inner objects? Really define them, make them potent. Can your actor articulate, maybe just to you, or even just feel with profound conviction, who this scene is really about in their own life? Why does this character need to win this fight? Does it tap into something deeply unresolved or vital from their own experience? Remember, if an actor is gripping, they are often intellectualizing, keeping the work at arm's length.
He's taking safe.
Exactly. Their power comes from that personal connection, from the visceral understanding that the character's fight is, in some profound way, their own fight too. So recharging the scene with the primal urgency of their own inner life through their substitution and inner objects is absolutely essential. You have to make sure that connection is alive and active.
Makes sense. What's next?
Are your notes helping the actor pursue the objective or perform the emotion? This is huge. Your language shapes the actor's psychology more than you might realize. Are your words consistently focused on what the character wants and how they're going to get it, the actions, the tactics? Or are you inadvertently guiding them toward how the scene should look or feel, giving result-oriented direction?
Like, be angrier here, or show more vulnerability.
Precisely. Those are result notes. This question is a critical mirror for your own directing style. Remember, emotion is a byproduct of the pursuit, not the goal. If you give notes like, be angrier here, you're directing a result, and the actor will likely try to manufacture it, which leads to gripping. But if you say you need to utterly destroy their argument to win this, what tactic will you use? How can you undermine them? And then the anger, if it's right for the moment, will emerge organically as they fight. That comes from the doing.
Focusing on the verb, essentially.
Always focus on the verb, the action, the objective. Next. Are you listening for behavior, not just watching performance? Are you truly tuned in? Listening with your eyes and ears for the subtle, spontaneous shifts in rhythm, the surprising reactions, the unplanned pauses that just scream, I am in this moment, rather than just watching them deliver lines correctly.
Seeing beyond the plan.
Yes. If you're only watching for the rehearsed moves, for the expected beats you discussed, you will miss the gold. You'll miss those messy, raw, unforgettable moments that pulse with real life. You must be prepared to recognize and capture truth, even if it wasn't on the call sheet or in your shot list exactly as planned. It's about being present enough to recognize truth when it happens, not just when it conforms to your expectations.
That requires real presence from the director, too.
Absolutely. And finally, perhaps the toughest one, have you made space for chaos?
Chaos. That sounds scary on a film set.
It is, which is why it's challenging. But by chaos, I mean possibility, unpredictability, risk. Are you leaving enough oxygen in the process for the actor to fall, to flail, to fight messy, and ultimately, perhaps, to fly in a way neither of you expected? Or is your own perfectionism, your own need for a controlled, predictable outcome, unintentionally trapping them in a gilded cage, keeping them safe but small?
That's a hard question to ask oneself.
It is. You must create an environment where the actor feels unequivocally safe to leap, safe to fail, safe to risk, safe to go too far sometimes. This means fostering an atmosphere of deep trust where experimentation isn't just allowed, it's actively encouraged. They need to know failure in pursuit of truth is okay.
So this checklist isn't just a one-time thing at the start.
Not at all. It's not a one-time reflection, director. It is a moment-by-moment recalibration on set. It is your brutal, unflinching mirror, revealing whether you are empowering spontaneity or suffocating it with unconscious control. When you are brave enough to lean into these answers, to honestly assess your own leadership throughout the process, they will not only guide your very next note, they will fundamentally transform your leadership on set. Remember, the goal isn't perfection, it is truth. And truth, that thunderclap of raw presence, only emerges when you, the director, have the humility to step back when needed and the audacity to trust the rigorous work you've both done.
Which of these do you think is the hardest for most directors to honestly confront? My guess would be the chaos one.
I would agree. Making space for chaos, for the unpredictable, is often the most challenging. The intense pressure to deliver a polished product, to stay on schedule and budget, can often make that necessary leap of faith feel deeply counterintuitive. It requires courage.
But you're saying that's where the magic often lies.
Absolutely. It requires a profound shift in perspective, moving from controlling outcomes to creating conditions for discovery. But it is where the greatest, most unforgettable rewards lie.
We've covered the checklist, the tools, the mindset. This is all incredibly valuable. But let's get even more precise now. Laser focused. What specific language, what exact phrases should a director actually use? Words that can cut through the noise, break that actor's grip, and help unlock that elusive let it go moment. What are those verbal keys we can put in our pocket?
Language is incredibly potent. Your words, director, are not neutral. They are a profound force that shapes the actor's psychology in the moment. Your language either fosters freedom or it instills fear. It invites risk or it tempts them to please you. Every phrase you utter is, in effect, an instruction on how the actor is permitted to exist and behave in that moment.
So choose words carefully.
Very carefully. To unlock letting go in an actor who is gripping, who is stuck in their head, you must use language that consistently orients them towards the objective, not the result. Language that fuels the need, not the performance itself. Language that calls out the fight, not just the feeling. You must speak to the warrior within your actor, the part that fights to win, not the victim or the part that wants to demonstrate emotion correctly.
Okay, give us some examples. What are these phrases?
All right, here are some precise phrases. Think of these as direct instructions to speak to that warrior, to cut through the intellectualization and ignite the pursuit. If they're clearly just hitting marks, say, "You're hitting the beats perfectly. Now let's fight for the need instead."
Shifting from execution to struggle.
Exactly. It directly challenges the actor who is intellectually executing the scene map. It shifts focus from choreographed movement to a deep, personal, visceral need. It reminds them, technique serves truth. It isn't the end goal. If they're showing emotion, don't perform the emotion. Use it to get what you want.
Emotion as a tool again.
Always. Remind them, emotion is a weapon, a tactic, a strategy to get what they desperately need, not a display for the camera. If they try to display sadness or anger, they freeze themselves, become self-conscious. Instead, redirect. How can that sadness or anger be a tool to achieve their objective? To manipulate, coerce, connect, break through if they seem lost. Let the objective pull you through the scene.
Like a magnetic force.
Precisely. It recenters them on their singular driving goal, reminds them that their objective is the gravitational force pulling them from moment to moment. It's a powerful redirect when they've lost their way in their head. It implies forward momentum, a relentless push. If they seem insecure about their choices, trust that what's personal to you is enough. Don't add layers, ship them back.
Empowering their personal connection.
Yes, empowering their substitution and inner objects as the bedrock of truth. When an actor grips, they often feel their internal work isn't enough, prompting them to add external acting, ornamentation. Remind them their raw, authentic, personal connection is their greatest power. Simplicity and truth always triumph over manufactured complexity. If you sense fear is holding them back, you're protecting yourself right now. Let the character take the fall.
Giving permission to be vulnerable.
Explicit permission. This directly addresses the core fear that often leads to gripping. It gives them permission to surrender fully to the character's vulnerability, their pain, their potential humiliation. Permission to be messy, to fail spectacularly within the scene, because that's often where the deepest truth resides. If they rush through silence, use the silence. If you can't speak the truth right now, show me what it costs you to hold it in.
Making silence active.
Very active. This encourages trust in internal struggle and unspoken communication. It reveals the deep subtext and the weight of their choices even when no words are spoken. Silence, when fueled by a burning objective and internal conflict, can roar louder than any dialogue. It conveys agony, defiance, desperate hope, to raise the stakes instantly. If this scene were the only chance you had to change everything in your life, how would you fight for it right now?
Igniting primal urgency.
Exactly. It elevates the stakes to an ultimate desperate level. It strips away intellectualization and forces them into immediate visceral pursuit. It bypasses their logical brain and activates their survival instincts. What's truly at stake? If they're indicating pain, stop acting like you're in pain. Show me what you do to make the pain stop.
Again, action over state.
Always pushes from displaying emotion to active, purposeful behavior rooted in intention. Pain, anger, joy. These are not destinations, they are fuel. Fuel for the character's relentless drive to win, to achieve their objective, to change their circumstances. What would they do to stop the pain? That's the compelling action. So remember, director, always speak to the need, not the feeling.
Need, not feeling.
Feelings are the byproduct of action. They are the result of the stakes, the obstacles, the hunger to win. They are not the goal itself. When you direct an actor toward feeling an emotion, you risk freezing them in place, making them self-conscious. When you direct them toward the need, toward that burning objective, you set them in motion. You empower their pursuit.
Speak to the pursuit, not the plan.
Exactly. The plan is what was rehearsed. The plan is choreography. The pursuit is what happens when instinct takes over, when life erupts spontaneously, when the truth is born. Push your actors relentlessly to chase the thing they cannot live without in that scene. Trust that their robust preparation will carry them through the ensuing chaos. Because it is in that chaos, director, that the truth is born.
Listening to all this, it really feels like this let it go moment isn't, well, it's not a quick fix, is it? Not just a button you could push with the right phrase. It sounds much deeper, something earned over time, more like an unfolding journey rather than a single event you can just trigger on command.
Precisely. You've grasped a crucial aspect of it. Letting go is absolutely not a switch that can simply be flipped on demand. Nor is it something you can realistically demand from an actor on day one of shooting or even early in rehearsal.
It needs groundwork.
Deep groundwork and time. It is an arc. A profound process of emotional alchemy, really, built layer by layer, breath by breath. It's forged through the actor's rigorous vulnerability, their commitment to the detailed work, and their unwavering willingness to risk failure in pursuit of truth. You simply cannot demand let it go from an actor before they have something substantial, something deeply rooted and emotionally honest to release.
So it's the reward, in a way.
It is the reward. The reward for grit, for sweat, for a relentless emotional honesty. It's the culmination of a rigorous, deeply personal journey they undertake. The earning of this release comes through that commitment to profound vulnerability we keep talking about. It demands the willingness to fail spectacularly, to risk everything in the pursuit of truth without holding back or protecting oneself.
That sounds exhausting.
It can be. It's an arduous journey sometimes, leading to the kind of creative exhaustion that comes after peeling away every false note, every protective layer, until only the raw, urgent need remains. It signifies the final stage of ownership, when the actor is no longer thinking about the role but doing it, no longer crafting a performance but fully inhabiting the character's life. You cannot direct someone to let go before they have something deeply personal and substantial, built through the technique, ready to be released.
So what are the conditions that allow this arc to complete? What needs to be in place?
This profound release emerges only after crucial conditions are met and deeply embedded within the actor's process over time. First, trust is built. And this is multi-layered. Not just trust between the actor and you, the director, though that is absolutely vital, but perhaps even more importantly, trust profoundly within the actor themselves.
Trust in their own instincts.
Yes. They must come to trust their personal choices, their raw instincts, their connection to the substitution, and crucially, their fundamental right to take up emotional space within the scene, to be messy, to be powerful. Without this deep internal trust, the leap into the unknown of letting go will always be tentative and guarded. They need to truly believe their own truth is enough, is valid.
Okay, trust first. What else?
Repetition embeds the work. Now, this isn't repetition for rote memorization or for rehearsing towards some kind of smooth perfection. It's repetition so that the technique itself becomes second nature. So it transforms from conscious intellectual effort, okay, now I need to think about my objective, into instinctive, spontaneous response. I need this.
Making it automatic.
Exactly. This disciplined repetition forges confidence. And confidence ultimately births courage, the courage required to truly let go of conscious control. When the lines, the beats, the tactics, the physical doings are fully in their body, their mind is finally free to just live the scene. And third, leading from that, technique lives in muscle memory. The core elements of the Chubbuck technique substitution, inner objects, objective, inner monologue doings, all of them must transcend being external tools they apply. They must become fully internalized impulses, so deeply ingrained that they manifest spontaneously without conscious thought, truly living in their muscle memory.
So they don't think about their objective.
They feel it driving them. They don't remember their inner object. It's vividly present for them in the room. That's the goal.
It sounds like building a very strong foundation.
Think of it like this. Letting go is the final leap, the release. But crucially, it's not a free fall into nothingness. It's a leap from a structure, a very specific, detailed structure that you've spent weeks, maybe months, or even years on a long project constructing with them. If the foundational scaffolding you've helped them build is shaky, if the work isn't deeply internalized, if that trust isn't there, then the actor's lead will be timid, hesitant, guarded, understandably so.
But if the foundation is strong.
But when that scaffolding is solid, when the technique lives deep in their muscle memory, when their personal trust is unwavering, then the actor can launch with true abandon. That, director, is when true presence takes over, when the truth emerges raw and unfiltered. And when everything you've both worked for finally breathes on its own, your role is to help create these conditions for it, to water the seeds, wait patiently for them to grow, and then honor the bloom when it finally arrives. You can't force it, but you can nurture it. So, letting go. It demands immense trust, courage, and discipline, not just from the actor, but equally from you, the director. Your rigorous preparation, your sharp vision for the story, your deep understanding of the character's arc, the scene's beats, the subtext, the entire emotional terrain, that preparation is the bedrock. It's what allows you to confidently loosen your grip, not out of apathy or giving up, but out of strategic, informed trust in the work you've done together. You are creating the architectural scaffolding of intention, a secure framework from which the actor can then take that courageous launch into the unknown of the present moment.
So our prep enables their freedom.
Precisely. The actor must feel unequivocally safe to leap, safe to fail, safe to risk, safe to go too far in the exploration. They need to know implicitly that you are their parachute, a supportive presence if they stumble, but that you are absolutely not pulling their strings, manipulating their performance towards a predetermined outcome.
Safety is key.
The emotional environment on your set must be as carefully curated as the visual one. Respect, stillness, focused presence. These become your most potent, invisible tools. They foster the safety required for true vulnerability. This is the fertile ground where miracles can happen. When you consciously create these profound conditions with intention, then the actor can finally release that conscious control we talked about. Their subconscious takes over. The muscle memory of the entire technique activates. The substitution bleeds organically into the text. The inner objects flood the space with unseen energy, and the objective takes over completely, driving everything.
Becomes instinctive.
Suddenly, it transcends acting. It becomes pure, instinctive survival within the given circumstances. And when it happens, you will not need to question it. You will feel it. The truth will land in the room like a thunderclap, raw and undeniable.
And what do we do in that specific moment after the thunderclap?
In that sacred electric moment, director, do not rush in immediately with a note. Please, do not puncture the air with commentary, no matter how insightful you think it is. Just Let it breathe.
Hold the space.
Hold the space. Allow the actor and everyone witnessing to absorb what they have just unleashed. Let them feel the profound impact of what they accomplished, what just happened through them. Respect the invisible force that just manifested in the room. Then, and only then, after that moment has landed and settled, calmly reset. Maybe just a quiet thank you. Let's go again when you're ready. Understand that sometimes the most powerful career-defining moments for the actor and for your film do not come from your explicit direction in that instant. They come from the sacred space you had, the wisdom, the courage, and the discipline to protect.
So wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you, the director, standing there on set, facing that incredible potential day after day? What's the final distilled truth we should carry forward from this session?
Letting go is not surrender. It is not giving up. It is the moment when craft collapses into instinct, when preparation meets presence, and truth takes over. The director's role is not to manufacture it. You can't force it, but you can, and you must protect the space where it can strike.
Protect the space where truth can strike. That's powerful. A truly profound session on the art and the craft of Let It Go. We really hope this masterclass leaves you with some distilled insights, maybe a renewed sense of purpose for your next project, empowering you to help ignite those truthful, unforgettable performances we all seek. Thank you so much for joining us for this special session. Until next time, keep creating, keep trusting the process, and keep protecting that sacred space where truth can emerge.